Welcome back to the 13 must-dos to create good educational videos. The next phase is recording. One very important point, based on Richard Mayer's extensive research, is to use, but don't abuse, multimedia. This is too much, an abuse of too many colors, shapes, and messages. Mayer found that pictorial plus verbal information led to effective instruction. A single pictorial element plus a single verbal element works best. On the other hand, too much is too much. Pictorial plus verbal plus textual information lead to cognitive overload and the reduction of learning. We'll get into a caveat regarding accessibility next week, so hold this thought for now. Must-do 8 is a bit technical. Should you choose photos or videos for your educational videos? Photos can be actual photographs or images, such as PowerPoint images like I'm doing here. On the one hand, photographs and PowerPoint slides are easy to create and use. They require less equipment, you can use a smaller camera, you can focus on one object, and photographs and PowerPoint slides are quicker to edit than videos. On the other hand, videos are a bit more work, but offer a lot to your students. You can utilize on-camera talk, like this, such as I do in my historic documentaries. You can present dynamic images, such as the movement of objects, you can move the camera, and you can show the passage of time. Must-do number 9. Show various viewpoints in your videos, not just a talking head of someone the entire time. I try to collect various historical photographs, some of which require permission and fees, and various B-roll shots of the site. B-roll essentially means any footage other than the interviewee's head. I show the B-roll on top of the interviewee's voice. Must-do 10 tells us to show action, not just talk about it. Hoban, another veteran of producing training films during World War II, tells us that showing action is more effective than people talking about action. In other words, show it. Don't just talk about it. One technique I do is interview people first, before I shoot B-roll. During the interview, I note things to film or photograph to illustrate their words. Here we see an illustration of this. While I interviewed Lori Price, the president of the Lander County Historical Society, I made mental notes of what she talked about. She mentioned that the museum has a large collection of newspaper articles, so after the interview, I asked her to open one of the files and look through it while I photographed and filmed her. Here we see me walking in a round hallway, around the center courtroom in the Pershing County Courthouse. Rather than just talking about how round the hallway is, I illustrated it by walking a portion of it. The 11th must-do is to slow down. Oh, let me do that again. The 11th must-do is to slow down. Learning happens slowly, and we must give our students time to absorb the information. Try to slow your pacing down if you're recording a voiceover, like I'm doing here. Although, I'm not the best at slowing down. But I do try to leave pauses in between important points and sentences. Leave screens up long enough for viewers to absorb content. Repeat complex elements. Pause after major sequences, like I'm doing between the 13 must-dos. And provide multiple examples and perspectives whenever possible. Be informal, the 12th must-do recommends. It is best to use an informal tone, such as using me, I, we, and you. Avoid formal language such as one, some, and others. The idea here is to be natural, not stuffy. You'll notice in my history documentaries that when I'm the host, I wear tie-dye shirts, not a suit and tie. That was all very purposeful when dealing with what many consider a boring subject such as history. And our last must-do is time. I mentioned the 3 parts of video production earlier: pre-production, or planning, with scripts and storyboards, production, or filming and voiceover recording, and post-production. We covered the first 2 parts already, but let's quickly mention the parts of post-production. Post-production takes time, a lot of time. On average, the pre-production phase consumes 31% of my time, production a bit less at 29%, while post-production requires 41% of the total time. Post-production includes editing the voiceover and video footage, color grading so the colors look good, producing the edited video via rendering, and finally distribution, whether on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, Kaltura, sending out flash drives if the school cannot access social media, etc. So just know that creating good educational videos takes time and money. You need to weigh the costs of educational video production with the benefits. Some content might work better in a PDF or a web page that you can easily edit and update. Other content needs moving pictures, squirrel, in order to get the point across. Discuss carefully with your school, company, team, and whomever if a video is really what is needed. If it is, make sure that people know that it takes time and resources to complete.